Hello, you beautiful nerds. I'm Jedi Master Grayson.
And this is your boy Bill. And this is our show. Does it hold up?
There you go.
This is the show where we revisit classic genre films to see if they are as good or as bad as we remember. And we might get drunk while we do it. Brother Bill, how you doing?
I might be drunk already from last night, mostly. From this morning and last night and this afternoon.
Hey, time makes fools of us all. What was once night is now morning, and what was once morning is now night. Today, or tonight, or, time is relative. Today we are talking about the first film in a very beloved film series. We're talking about the 2001 film The Fast and the Furious, but we can't do it alone. As always on Does It Hold Up, we have a special guest to help us as a potential tiebreaker. You can find him.
Do it alone.
We can't do it alone. We literally cannot do it alone. You can find him at Chuckie_Fuoco on the Instagrams. He's a content creator, writer, director, actor, producer, former head of video at the online news publication The Wrap, and he's a pretty cool dude. Mr. Chuckie Fuoco, welcome to the show.
That's right.
What's up, guys? Thank you for having me on again. Appreciate it.
Of course, man. We had a lot of fun talking about The Last of Us. Guys, you can check that out on the Ubili Tubilis as well. But yeah, we had so much fun. We had to talk about some the movie that made a lot of these actors in this movie a star. It's kind of weird looking back at baby Michelle Rodriguez and baby Vin Diesel, and forever young Paul Walker. Unfortunately,
Who's it weird for? Who's it strange for?
I mean, I just haven't seen this movie, obviously for me.
Man, let me tell you something.
But yeah,
all that happened for me was I was like, God damn, I forgot I'm mad in love with Michelle Rodriguez. It's ridiculous. I better not ever bump into you, Michelle, because we're going to have some issues. We're like custody and alimony and all that kind of shit. We gonna have all the issues, girl. We will have all of the lovely toxic relationship that you want to have. I got it right here for you.
Full package.
So you're already planning on just like screaming matches and fights, but with like really passionate makeup sex.
I hope so.
Dare to dream. Dare to dream.
Dare to dream. Can a man dream?
No, I mean, you're not lying though. She is pretty foxy in this movie, and even doesn't have like a major role, but like kind of steals the a little bit of that limelight, which a lot of the side characters do in this movie.
Yeah, this is a very interesting like vehicle for a lot of the actors in this movie. And yeah, like you guys mentioned, this is probably the hottest Michelle Rodriguez has ever been. And I just saw D&D, and she was great in that. She was gorgeous in that. But still,
I can't wait to see that. Yeah, I can't wait to see that. She still kicks it in D&D.
Yeah, man. That's honestly, I said this in my review. Oh, sorry, what were you about to say, Bill?
Well, no, she did a really good job, and you're not about to actually say something that you said in your review, right? Because, like, they need to go fucking watch the video. If you want to hear more about the review for D&D, go watch the video.
True that.
But I was going to say, in D&D, she did gain a lot of weight to play that character. Like, she put on a lot of mass to play that character. Because if you look at her now doing the interviews for the movie, she's not that size.
Right.
We're like, so, yeah, she really put in the work for that role. And so I would love to see D&D 2. Put it in the comments. Hashtag D&D 2. But right now, we're talking about Fast and the Furious. And
The Fast and
the Furious.
That's right. The Fast and the Furious. It does get confusing if you start talking about these movies out of order. It does get mad confusing. So The Fast and the Furious.
For it to be a film series about a bunch of car racers, the storyline and the titles get way too convoluted. like we have like movies that take place like the third movie takes place like 5 years before the fifth movie or some such shit. There's a movie called Fast and Furious. There's a movie called The Fast and the Furious. The new movie's called Fast 10, and I feel like they wasted a great opportunity to call it Fast 10 Your Seatbelts. But we'll get Well, but again, we're not talking about Fast 10, even though like this franchise is built into something really crazy. Let's talk about where it all started.
I thought we talked
out.
about this. I thought you no Fast 10, your seatbelt straps.
That was amazing, Alex. That was amazing. That was amazing.
Fucking garbage.
I mean, they could put it in a tagline.
Oh
I mean,
God.
something,
Sorry.
right?
That's going to be the name of this
Yeah.
video. It's going to be Fasten Your Seatbelts. That's what the name of this video is going to be.
Let the people decide.
So, first things first, what we like to do is I like to ask everybody at the beginning of every episode, when you saw this movie for the first time, like when you saw it originally in theaters, what was your reaction? Were you one of the haters, or were you one of the people who were like, I fuck with this movie?
Alex, you want to take this one?
Sure. Yeah, like my first time watching it, like I did really enjoy it, and I ended up watching it a lot. Like we had it. This is one of the movies we had on DVD, and we rewatched a lot. And I didn't even remember how much I rewatched it until I was rewatching it today. And I was like, holy shit, I know every line of this movie.
There's a lot of good one-liners in this movie. I mean, especially delivered by the man himself, Dom.
Yeah.
Like, he's got a lot of good one-liners.
He
Yeah.
really does. And he impressed me with his acting, too, because, like, it's been a
Do you
while
know
since I've
why?
seen this, but he's really, really fucking good at this movie. But, yeah, what were
You
you
know
saying?
why he
Why
he
is
was
that,
able
Brother
to give,
Bill?
You know why he had the most like tagline, like one-liners or best lines, if you will? It's because he lives his life a quarter mile a minute. Like that's
That's true.
One of the gems
quarter
right
mile a
there.
second.
One of the gems.
a quarter mile at a time. That's how he lives his life, a quarter mile
That's
at a
right.
time. And if you aren't living your life like that, you probably won't understand. You probably won't get it. So,
Well,
Chuckie, what was your feelings about the first time you saw The Fast and the Furious?
The first time I saw the film, I can't even remember how old I was, but I do remember loving it, like absolutely loving it.
It came out in 2006.
There we go. So I must have what is that? That's like going into college, maybe freshman year or something like that.
Yeah.
I remember going out. I remember seeing it. I remember it being one of those blockbuster movies that like everyone was like, "Have you seen it? Have you gone out and seen it? Are you going to go see it again?" I remember everyone attempting to like stand next to their cars and like act like they were driving something that's like comparable at all to the movie. But yeah, I mean, it didn't make me go out and like buy some DBSs or like try to like upscale my little like Honda Fit or something like that. But it definitely made me want to like hang out with people that were in that kind of like community. But of course, I didn't know anybody in that community, so I was just a fan. I was a huge fan.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Bill? Because, I mean, some inside baseball, you did know some people who were into this kind of shit, correct?
Yeah, me. Statutes of limitations is over with. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was out here.
Birmingham PD cannot catch me.
Wait, where were
Right,
you racing?
and-
Where were you racing in Birmingham?
Shout out to everybody who used to race out on 30th, and shout out to everybody who used to race on 7th. Shout out to everybody who used to race out on, what was that shit called?
The Deerfoot Parkway? Did y'all ever race there?
No. Well, yeah, we did race out on Deerfoot Parkway, yes, by the Greyhound
I was like, that seems like a
train,
perfect place
by
to
the
race.
Greyhound track. We used to be over there all the time. And shout out to everybody who used to be behind that little warehouse out there in Tarrant. And shout out to everybody who used to race at the school in Tarrant, right over there. I got y'all, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about. You know
And
what I'm
leave it in the
talking about.
comments. Leave it in the comments if you understand any of these Alabama references.
That's what I'm saying.
know
It's
he's
like
playing.
Bill was in it deep. He was in it
Yeah,
deep.
man. I was in the street. I was in the streets. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was in the streets. I was living the street life. I was street race life. And we used to race every Friday, every Saturday, and on Sundays was bike racing day. So like, you know what I'm saying? You just go see the bike races and whatnot. But yeah, I went and participated. I went and I watched. I never had a car, or the money rather, I should say. I never had the money to put into my car like that.
Right.
And so, but my friends all had money to put in their cars, and my car was cool, but I could drive really good. So I'd just be I could drive better than them. So they would let me drive their cars a lot. You know what I'm saying? So running from the police, like all this shit. And look, I'm 37, so you know, we're talking about 2001 to 2005. I'm like constantly going, like 2001 to 2004 for sure, like every weekend. That's what I'm doing.
So you were in the community that they wrote this film about, pretty much.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
we were going to. We had a homie who had a car shop, like a parts shop, like his.
Oh, that's what's up. Yeah.
Our homie's brother-in-law. So his sister's husband was an owner of this body shop / parts store where you can get performance parts for your car. So just like in the show, I mean, just like in the movie, you know, it was just like
Harry's. What was it called? Harry's.
Harry's Auto Parts or whatever. I don't know. Harry's
Red
balls.
Run, I think is what it was called.
Harry's dick. Harry's dick and balls. But yeah, so yeah, I had like a very dope experience when I went to see it, because it was just like, yo, they're showing like our life on TV right now, like on the movie, on the big screen. The silver screen has like what I do on the weekend, and like it's like we've always looked at it like the best kept secret type thing, you know what I mean? Like,
isn't it always the best kept secret until a film comes out about it?
Right,
like, honestly.
Then everybody wants to emulate it.
Which I was, you know, but I was excited to see it. It was cool to see the culture make it to the silver screen. So yeah,
it was interesting because like you could tell from this movie that they were definitely trying to like showcase the culture. Like there's a lot of shots, you know, during the racing scenes that you definitely don't see in the later movies, or just like, we're gonna zoom in on these girls, we're gonna zoom in on these guys talking, like not necessarily like what the girls, like, you know, zooming on a girl's ass, which there's some of that, but just like, look at how these people dress, look at how these people act.
Exactly.
Like it's very much trying to ingratiate the audience into the culture of like this racing world, which was interesting. And like apparently, you know, Rob Cohen, the director and the producer of the movie The Skulls, the Joshua Jackson film, Paul Walker was also in that, and like during that making of that movie, like all three of them were like, we need to make a movie about this culture.
Wow.
So that's kind of how like this movie came about.
Wow.
And Vin Diesel, like when they cast Vin Diesel, he actually had a big part in developing the script. Like since he knew a lot about the race culture and stuff, they like David Ayer sat him down and was like, go through the script page by page and like see what works, what doesn't work. Apparently he had a lot to do with there being so much diversity in the movie. Like there's a lot of black, brown, and Asian people in this movie. So it's weird. Like
he apparently hated the script when he first read it, because it was about all white people in New York City.
Right.
Like, who the fuck is street racing in New York City?
Right, like you'll drive down one block and then you'll get caught up in traffic. Like where
that's
you're gonna,
really crazy
right.
that almost went that route. That's crazy.
Yeah, this is almost a very different movie. In fact, this movie was almost called Race Wars.
Which was the desert race wars, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was that's what the name of the desert.
It did make its way in there. That title did make its way into the movie, baby.
The person that really wanted it to be named that was like, we're gonna name something Race Wars, all right, guys? Something's gonna be Race Wars, or I'm out of here.
There's got to be a race war in this movie.
Shout out to Silver Lake. Shout out to Echo Park. Shout out to specifically Michael Torina Street.
Yeah, have we
Effie
all
Street.
Have we all been to the Triangle Street where the little cafe garage place is or whatever?
No,
here in California.
No, I've never been there.
I mean, I've been there. Yeah, it's like off Beverly and something.
Yeah.
No, hold on. It's off of Bellevue Avenue.
Yeah. I went by there one time. I can't remember who I was with, but I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like,
did you go there on purpose, or did you stumble upon it?
I think we stumbled upon it on accident. Like we were driving past, I guess whatever. We were off of Bellevue, and they were just like, "Hey, we should probably pull over because I think this is the area where they filmed it." And I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
And then we like turned a corner, and there it was. It was crazy.
Yep.
Yes.
Shout out to Silver Lake.
Damn.
Echo Park.
So Bill, what question for you, because you were in that community and because like you went and saw it and you said you did, like it did showcase your community pretty well?
I think so. Because they like, yo, people are always like, when I tell people about this, people are always like, they ain't had no girls out there like that though. And I'm like, oh yeah. Oh no. It was like, just like that. Like motherfuckers getting drunk, motherfuckers smoking, fucking partying, fucking music booming, because motherfuckers, everybody got a speaker system that they trying to show off. And, you know, bitches love, in the South especially, I think everywhere we, you know, shout out to Big Crit, we call it the Southern maiden call, you know what I'm saying? You gotta have them speakers booming, boom, boom, boom. You know what I'm saying? You gotta have them subs. So when you got them subs, you know, what you gonna do? Just have them in there playing quiet? No, you gotta have them bumping. So it's like a club outside. You know what I'm saying? And like, so girls want to be where it's exciting at, right? Like girls want to be where it's cool at too. So like, yeah, it was a culture that was brewing up, but it's also extremely dangerous. I want to tell anybody who's thinking about street racing right this very second, do not motherfucking do it. We've seen some crazy shit. I've seen some very horrific things happen in these places, in these situations. And, you know, anybody who's got like a quarter of a mile of a road in your neighborhood or on the street that you live in downtown Birmingham, Alabama, if you have bumps on that street, you're welcome. That was us. Because they put them bumps up in the streets because they ain't want us racing down there no more. But because we was racing down there anyway, they'd have police down there waiting when we got there. We just wait till they left.
Yeah, when you were explaining it, I was like, everybody getting like fucking wasted and then getting in cars and driving 120 miles per hour. That sounds like an incredibly dangerous situation.
Well, most people who are driving ain't drinking, but you can't control, you know, every element of an illegal extracurricular activity.
But yeah, let's get into the movie a little bit, because this is kind of a wild movie, or it's wild in the sense to how tame it is compared to how wild these movies got. You know,
it's a regular ass movie.
It's a regular ass movie.
It is a regular movie, 100%.
And there are some moments in the movie where I was like, wow, this has got dramatic tension and like depth. Like, this is a real movie.
It all checks. It all checks.
I watched these other movies just kind of. I kind of hate watching them, but this is pretty enjoyable, surprisingly. But yeah, like at the beginning of this movie, you know, like just to talk about how quaint this movie is, it starts out with just like a little heist, no CGI, where this group of black Honda Civics rob a 18-wheeler truck. It's a pretty intense scene. Chuckie, what did you think of this opening scene? Like, because I honestly, I remember watching this in the theater and being like, "Whoa!"
All right, so right off the bat, you have an iconic moment within the first 3 minutes of the film, which is when one of those Honda Civics rolls right underneath the 18-wheeler.
Absolutely,
it is
Letty.
Even though it's probably been done in other movies prior to this movie. Mm-hmm. This movie, in my opinion, is what really, like, if you ask somebody about cars going under 18-wheelers, like, this is probably one of the first films they saw it in, because...
Yeah, I ain't never seen that in a movie before
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, when I saw that, I was just like, what? Like...
I haven't seen it in a movie since, actually, now that you mentioned it.
Yeah, I mean, we've all had that thought when we're on the interstate and we're driving by like a huge-ass 18-wheeler and you're in like someone's low Honda or low, you know, Acura or something like that. Like, we could probably just slip under there if we really needed to.
Yeah.
But like you just said, Alex, it's like, it's amazing that when this film came out, there was no CGI used. These were all stunt drivers. It was done so well and in such good choreography. It was just... I don't know. It's one of those iconic scenes, and then they do it again at the end of the film.
Yeah.
So, like,
well, let's just talk about.
Yeah.
I want to dive into that one more. I want to dive into that one more because the beginning, like what we find out later to be Vince, the character Vince, jumps into the truck, the 18-wheeler, and of the cab of the 18-wheeler, and the fucking truck driver just starts beating his ass with a baseball bat.
Wallops.
Yeah.
Wallops. I'm like, dog, don't
Like,
mess
glad you
with
got a
Vince
helmet
for
on.
real, because Vince is he was hitting him in the arm though. Like, damn, dog, like he's hitting him in the arm with a baseball bat. Like, dog, that shit's gotta hurt.
As we're saying about this being a good film, they're setting it up that he's kind of like the hard guy of the crew,
Yeah.
right? And so when that fight
Exactly.
happens in front, of their spot, they're all kind of like, including Dom, I feel, is kind of like surprised that he's holding his own against their strongest guy.
Right.
Because you're right. I realized it was him because, of course, you see it at the end again with him jumping in the front of the cab and it not going the best at the end, but you do see it's him. So you're right to say, Bill, it's like he gets walloped there in the beginning, but then still is able to maintain to shoot that thing into the truck driver and then get control of the truck. Like, that was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Yeah,
It was ridiculous. Shout out to these stuntmen in this motherfucking movie.
they definitely did.
Except for Paul Walker's stuntman. Paul Walker's stuntman needs to shoot himself in the foot or punch himself in the face, because that dude didn't even have the goddamn decency to shave. I mean, son of a bitch. Every time I look over, I see bearded, blonde, old man that's definitely not Paul Walker.
I didn't know if we should save it because I also had a pretty big thing to say about that, but I think I might save it until we get to that very last scene.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I agree with you, Bill. I agree with you.
Yeah, it's just
This has to be like, and I don't know, guys, correct me if I'm wrong. This has to be around the time that we stop seeing things like this happen, like where you actually see stuntmen. Like there was
because you're absolutely right. Because this first time that I saw where they put like a digitally imposed a face on a person in a movie was Blue Crush, and that was after this movie because Michelle Rodriguez is in that movie, and they put fake faces on the girls so that they could look like it was them surfing. Like, this is like this is around the time that we stopped seeing that. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, this definitely, because I think this is also when the HD craze started happening, like when we started getting HD on like basic television. I remember not shortly after this, I remember watching an episode of Heroes. And I was like, wait a second, I can see the fucking like pores on Matt's face. This is way different than it was last season. But yeah, and I think the audience is getting more sophisticated. But I do think that this it straddles that line because. Though there are some scenes where you can definitely see where it's Paul Walker's stunt double, there are other scenes where like he's clearly hanging off the side of the car, and it's clearly him, which I thought that was a nice touch. But yeah, like this opening scene is a nice like setup and payoff for that last scene. Like we get to see which people are doing what. We know that Letty's the person who goes under the car because she does it later on. We know that who Vince is, and we know.
Oh yeah, so true. That's so true, Alex. I never thought about that.
Yeah, it's really nicely written action sequence, if that makes any sense. But yeah, then later on, we get introduced to Paul Walker's character. He's trying out his car. He's doing a little bit of racing by himself. I guess just testing out his car. And I did really appreciate the reveal of Brian's character. In rewatch, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that they kind of left it as a mystery the first 15 minutes that he was a cop. And then we find out later, just like through natural progression. Like in a lesser movie, or even not even lesser movie, and like in Point Break, if correct me if I'm wrong, we know from the beginning that Keanu Reeves is FBI, right?
I don't know, but that's a lesser movie, and we shouldn't even be talking about it.
Hot take. You think so? Point Break is a lesser movie than The Fast and the Furious.
Yes, definitely.
Wow. Okay.
I have to.
Performances in this are literally from head to toe 1,000 times better than the performances in Point Break.
Okay.
Period.
Fair enough. I have to rewatch Point Break. Honestly, it's been at least 7 years since I've seen that.
That's Swayze and Reeves, right?
Yeah.
Yes, and that's crazy Swayze, not old, not like
Crazy Swayze.
Crazy Swayze.
Hashtag Crazy Swayze.
And it's what's his name too? What's his name? The real crazy motherfucker, Busey. Busey's
Oh
in it,
yeah, I
right?
forgot that Gary Busey's
Busey's
in that.
in it,
Yeah, Busey's in it, and that's crazy Busey. Like,
Yeah.
I just cracked my head on the motorcycle accident, and Busey,
Yeah,
crazy.
He's fresh off that shit.
So, I don't know, about that movie. We're not talking about that movie. We don't. I can tell you that movie doesn't hold up right now. I can tell you right now, Point Break doesn't hold up.
I would say this. I'm not mad at the reveal of him being a cop.
Not at all. Yeah.
I think they did it okay. I mean, them pulling him over, cuffing him, and then bringing him to the house is kind of like over the top because, like, I mean, if anyone saw that, they'd be like, he just got fucking nabbed. Like, if he ever comes back, we should probably be really suspicious of him. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that had the adverse effect they would have expected.
One more flaw is, like, why are you sneaking around in your, like, red truck from work to go sneak into other people's garages? Like, that, you're in a red truck. A red truck. Like,
the truck that's, like everybody knows you drive this truck. Because this is where you work.
Exactly.
Yeah, there was definitely...
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No. Yeah, there's definitely some hiccups in the story, and that was one of them.
Small hiccups.
So we get introduced to all of the characters. Paul Walker's character. Basically, it's like the easiest setup for main characters in a movie that I've ever seen, probably. It's just like...
Yeah, everybody
right.
Here they are.
One scene, yeah.
Here they are.
Yeah.
We're going to put them all literally right the fuck here. Here they are. They going to be meeting at this one spot. And then we're going to just go over here and they're going to have their little fight. And we're going to already see where people stand with one another in this crew of people. Even though Paul Walker hasn't even actually been put into the crew yet. We see where he fits into their little crew. Because like you said, we don't know yet at this point that he's a police officer. So
Right. But yeah, you get to see the dynamics of everybody, yeah.
I guess
Like,
what we think at that point that he's there for Mia, right? That he's just there trying to get with Dom.
Well, he works for Harry. He works for Harry, and he's trying to fuck a pretty girl. So it's like, these are the things that are going on in his life.
Yeah, they do set
and
up
also
a lot,
we have some kind of like sense of pride or sense of need for some kind of respect. Because we do see him driving around he's driving around at Dodger Stadium. Actually, that's where he's driving around at. But anyway, we see him driving around and shit at the beginning of the movie, trying to practice. So we see that he's a aspiring street racer, as far as we know at this point in the movie.
Right, yeah.
So like we see where everybody stands in the movie at that point, and I think that was a beautiful way to introduce all of the characters. But then we later on get the infamous street racing scene, which technically there's only like 2 real street racing like scenes, maybe 3 technically. Yeah. So it was so iconic. Like, you know what I'm saying? Everybody knows it. But you go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Let me say one thing because it works its way into the street racing scene. One thing that I noticed about this film, rewatching it, because it had been maybe like when did the last film come out? The last one that came out
2009. No, sorry, 2020.
2020. So in 2020 was the last time I rewatched it because I always rewatch it when a new one comes out and I rewatch all of them. But I realized in the first film they transitioned from day to night 3 times and used it very well to kind of like have that like day to night life kind of feel.
Right, yeah. I didn't even catch that, yeah.
Yeah, and into the first street race, you see it because they have that wide shot of the street race scene during the day, and then the sun goes down, and then all the cars pull in that same shot.
Right. Yeah.
They do it 2 more times in the film, and it's used very, very well. But yet, iconic street race scene. How the 5 cars like all come in together and everything. I mean,
they come in like the Flying V.
Yeah, they come in the Flying V. I was just about to say that. Yeah.
Mighty Ducks. It's pretty cool. And we also get the moment where like all the cars pull up to the line, very cool, and then Brian goes over the line just to show that he's green. He's also got a green car.
He does. Yes.
And we also have fucking Ja Rule in this.
Are you gonna cue any of these up? Are you gonna show any of these things? Like, we're just gonna run straight through?
Sure, I can do that.
When we get to, the next thing that we talk about, we'll have to bring up. Next time we talk about something worth bringing up.
Sure. I mean, it's a lot to do. But yeah, like what was I talking about?
This
racing
scene. Talking about,
what did you think of this racing scene, Bill?
I was gonna say you were talking about Fast and the Furious.
What did you think of this racing scene, Bill?
The racing scene is fucking iconic. You know why it's iconic? Because it's like how it was happening. Like, we never had that much space, like that much free reign. Oh, Budweiser. We used to race behind Budweiser on, was it Green Springs? In Green Springs? Off of Green Springs? In Homewood.
Oh, yeah, in Homewood.
We used to race behind that place all the time.
Hey,
somebody I know got shot over there. That was crazy.
That is a long road over there. Wow.
Yeah, I knew this dude named Charles. He got shot in the head over there. It was crazy. He lived. He was fine. He was at my apartment this like 4 hours later. It was weird. But...
Man, you got some street racing stories. Good Lord.
I digress. Like, it was like very much so how it was when you would go. That you got everybody's clicky, right? Clicks over here, clicks over there. People, just you got your Mexicans, you got your blacks, you got your who else? Whites. No, there was no whites. Did y'all notice that? No whites. Asians.
You two don't like that.
Yeah, there was only in the film. I think there was only like white girls that were like hanging out. Like, you never saw in the first film like any white girls or guys other than Paul Walker behind the wheel of a car. Yeah. Other than maybe the crew, the team that's with Dom.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I'm like, who? Yeah, and are they all white or any of them? Were those other two guys white, or were they just ambiguously white?
Nah, they were white. They were white.
Yeah, and it's funny because as much as this franchise likes to bring characters back, does Leon ever come back? Like the guy who... Yeah, okay.
I mean, not to my knowledge. Let us know in the comments right now. And actually take this time to subscribe right this very second. Put your fucking phone down. Scroll. Hit the button. Subscribe. Hit the bell. Bing.
Like.
And also,
all those things.
give us a like. Everything you do, it'll be free. We do these videos and we put them out and we don't even charge you. I'm telling you. It's crazy.
Yeah, you're getting your money's worth.
It's crazy. It's the craziest thing ever. You might have heard of it. It's called YouTube. Like and subscribe.
You might have heard of it because you're on it right now.
Yeah. Some people be acting like they don't know what to do, though. You're supposed to like and subscribe.
But yeah, it's funny. In this scene, we do get, speaking of characters who don't come back, we get Ja Rule in this street racing scene.
Nobody wanted him to come back at all.
Well, apparently someone did, except like Rob, or I forget which, maybe it was the producer who asked him to come back in the second movie, and he ridiculously asked for $30 million to reprise his role. $10 million more than Vin Diesel would end up getting paid to come back. So they were like, ha! And they just hired Ludacris instead. So Ludacris is on several occasions thanked Ja Rule for requesting $30 million for that role because he ended up making him a super millionaire. Or even more than he already was.
I did hear, though... Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, also, they ended up paying Vin Diesel that little amount of, like, $10 million less than what this dude was going to ask for. And also, he got producer credits. To come back. Like, they did all of that just to get Vin Diesel back. Like, motherfucker, who are you? Like, this... Like,
you're in one
Vin
scene.
Diesel... You're in one scene, dog. Like, come on, bro. Like, nobody wants you... Nobody remembers that you're in the movie until they rewatch it.
Well, I heard, too, and this... I don't know. This might be facts that we need to look up, but...
Let me know.
I heard that they offered him only $500,000 to do a small role. To do a small role in Fast and the Furious 2. He might have asked for $30 million, but they I don't know what happened with the counter or whatever.
Right.
But what I did read, because I looked it up earlier today, was that they were just going to offer him $500,000, but because he thought he was too important and too big, and they needed to pay, he didn't want to do it, which is wild.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I don't even know how much money Ludacris has made off this franchise, but he's been in every single one now. Every single one.
Ever since, yeah, he was in 2. Yeah, he was in 2, and I think he's been in every single one since then. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. And was he in 3?
Actually, no, that's right. No one was in 3 except for Vin Diesel at the very end.
Yeah, it was Lil Bow Wow, right?
Yeah.
That's who's never been in. Look, shout out to Lil Bow.
Shout out to Lil Bow Wow.
That was the thing that made me the most, because I didn't really like Fast 9 that much, even though I don't watch these movies for enjoyment anymore. It's just for the ridiculousness.
Ridiculous shock and awe.
Right.
That's all we go for, yeah.
But my favorite moment was when the Tokyo Drift crew comes back, when they had, I literally said in the theater, "That's Lil Bow Wow!" I was so excited to see him in that movie.
You mean, that's Chad Moss, man. I ain't calling that grown-ass man Lil Bow Wow. That nigga got a beer belly now. I'm not calling him Lil Bow Wow.
But
He's
Brian,
a grown-ass man. I'm going to call him Chad Boss.
But Brian loses the race in this scene. And then, which I thought was really cool, is that Vin Diesel breaks down why he lost the race. Because if you're a novice like me, it's y'all are all racing in a straight line. There's not a whole bunch of obstacles to miss or anything like that. It's one person's car is just better than the other. But he explains the many things that he did, even though he wasn't in the car with him. He explains why he lost the race. And I thought this was great. I was like, man, Vin Diesel, no wonder you're a fucking movie star. You are so good at this movie.
So are you talking about the explanation right after, he gets out of the car after the race and everyone's crowded around, that explanation?
Right, that I almost had you.
Yes.
Your granny shifting.
And
almost had me?
Yeah. He delivered that monologue, so well. When I was rewatching it, I was just like, get it, brother. You're fucking being cocky walking around and
right?
he actually delivered that very, very well. Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think of that scene?
The dude that what's that fucking dude? Who was the dude they wanted to play Vin Diesel, Alex? What was his name?
Oh, Timothy Oliphant. Who
Right.
I like a lot.
Really?
Yeah, who I
Can
like
you
a
pull
lot.
up a photo of that, Alex?
I
Can I see what that is?
Yeah, I can actually share that.
I love Timothy Oliphant. Okay?
That's crazy.
I'm going to tell you something about him. Would have been a fucking terrible Dom Toretto. I can tell you that right now. He just would not have been good. It just wouldn't have been. He is, and when you see him, Chuckie, you'll probably agree. He's a great character. He's a great character actor, but he's not Dom Toretto, especially not at that time in his career.
Great. He's great. He was on The Office, and he was on a number of other things that I remember seeing when I was younger. I can't remember what they were, but
to borrow a phrase
most
from
recently in man, all these damn shows we watch.
Star Wars.
Boba Fett.
It's easier, yeah. If you say Star Wars, you'll probably land on whatever he was in. It's funny, to borrow a phrase.
I wanted to say Bojangles for some reason. I don't know. I wanted to say Bojangles, and I'm like, that's not it. Don't say that. Do not say Bojangles, you goofy motherfucker. If you say Bojangles, you're going to look really fucking stupid right now. Do not say that. That is not what you tried to say. And then those thoughts kept fucking me up and not let me be able to actually think of what the damn shit was called.
Yeah, to borrow a phrase from Elizabeth Banks, Timothy Oliphant is a character actor in a leading actor's body. Elizabeth Banks always talks about I'm very attractive or whatever. You might see me as a leading actress, but I'm really just a character actress. I can play really cool supporting characters. And I think that's Timothy Oliphant's strength, is he plays really good.
Oh no, he played that crazy assassin dude on FX or some shit.
Oh yeah, I never saw Justified. I heard that's good. I heard he's really good on that.
Yeah, that was on TV for a while.
That was, and people love that show.
People loved it. I didn't see it, so I can't give any. But anyway,
but I do agree that
to Chuckie's point,
better. Yeah, sorry.
But to Chuckie's point, I think that Vin Diesel did an incredible job with that monologue, and it shows at the very beginning, because we don't know why this dude is the dude yet, but right there in that moment, you're like, oh, this is the dude. This is the dude. He's got this magnanimous personality. Like,
he's
fucking
definitely
gravitational pull towards him. You know, like, oh, okay, I fuck with this guy. You like him?
Yeah, he's charismatic.
He's a
and
criminal.
He's smart. You can tell, like, he knows his shit, and you can feel the reverence in the crowd. Like, everybody's like totally vibing with. Like, every time he says anything, they're like, "Ooh, you just got schooled."
That is very true. The crowd is very behind Dom. 100%.
Yeah. And then the cops show up. As Dom's running from the cops, Brian saves him. So he's kind of in his debt. They become fast friends after this. Little funny tidbit. Apparently, Vin Diesel and Paul Walker became super fast friends on the set of this because Vin Diesel also has a twin brother with blonde hair and blue eyes named Paul. So it wasn't hard for him to connect with him during the making of this movie.
Really weird too, because Vin Diesel has black hair, curly like nigga hair, and
yeah,
when he grows it out, it's a fro. But his twin brother, has blonde hair and blue eyes. I'm like, yo, son, it must have been wild times of growing up in New York City with them dudes on the hood, growing up in the hood, and they got to walk to school together and shit.
Right?
That shit had to be cray.
That's
and
probably
also
why
they
he started
became
lifting weights. He's like, I gotta
they also
get these
became
fucking
really-
bullies off me.
They also became really good friends because they went to Vin Diesel was into the culture of street racing before the movie, so he took Paul Walker to a street race, or to some street races, and one of them got popped as soon as they got there, basically, and the police came and the helicopter came and they had to run from the police, and they ducked down an alley and they started laughing together because they was like, damn, this shit is crazy. But everybody always tell that story because they make it seem like it was just those two, but the Asian dude was there as well. The Asian, the guy who plays the villain in this. Y'all ain't the only ones who be doing research. I be doing research too. I watched the whole making the behind the scenes Fast and the Furious. That's what I did.
Yeah.
So Johnny Tran was there, huh?
Yeah.
They all went out together. Yeah.
Actor's name is Rick Yoon, and it's funny that you mentioned him because something that's been sort of a recurring theme on Does It Hold Up is a weirdly recurring theme. Really?
Ninjas.
Well, ninjas.
Oh.
But also underrated Asian actors. Like, Asian actors, we look back and was like, man, that nigga should have been a movie star. And Rick Yoon was really good in this. And he's got that movie star face. He's been in a couple of movies as the villain.
Yeah,
but he never
know what?
really got that shot.
You know what? You Asian actors today ain't doing shit. These guys was out here. These guys was out here fucking busting their asses, and they fucking people up. They ripped all the time. You guys are out here looking around looking like fucking hipsters and shit. You guys don't even make good fucking action movies no more. Like, come on, man, get your shit together. Michelle Yeoh can't hold it all up on her shoulders for the rest of her life. Jackie Chan will be gone soon. These guys are busting their ass, and they fucking they paved the way for y'all. They paved the way for y'all. Fuck that. They paved the way for y'all. They did all this shit to never get any goddamn recognition just so y'all can do Crazy Rich Asians? No. We need more. We need more. We need better. Do better, goddammit.
It is a weird thing where, I've heard other podcasts talk about this kind of thing where, we get this peak of diversity in movies of not just Asian people but black people, brown people in the late 90s, early 2000s, and then it just stops, and then we get CW type shit for a while. But
because
now,
Whitey got mad.
As we see it, everything everywhere all at once, and American Born Asian stuff is, and what's that movie that's coming out later this month?
Beef just came out.
But there's a bunch of what?
Beef just came out.
Beef?
It's on Netflix.
Fucking
what was
Steven
the superhero movie too about? What was it The Punch or something like that?
Oh yeah, One Punch Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff now, but yeah, it It's just because like
Well, this is post COVID, post people marching in the street and everything like that. I think a lot of the vibe within a lot of communities kind of shifted.
For sure, and I think that as producers, the people who are in charge of all these things, they probably just read the tea leaves and were just like,
hold on.
The only way we're gonna make money is if we change some stuff.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Did you just say shifted, Chucky?
Shifted?
Is that what you said? Are you talking about stick shifted? Are these more car puns? Are we doing car puns?
That's exactly what I meant to say, bro.
Would you say that they drifted in a different way?
Would you say that? Would you say it drifted in a different direction?
It's all coming together.
But yeah, then later...
I live my life a quarter of a mile at a...
Brian. Yeah, we found out that Brian's a cop. Is getting some heat from his bosses to get Vin Diesel and his crew in jail because everybody knows that they're part of this DVD stealing gang.
This is one thing I wanted to say.
Yeah. All
right, let me say one thing about that. Is when I saw what they were stealing from the trucks in the beginning, and then he sees like the
DVD players at the end.
I guess it's DVD players and VHS players and TVs with VHS players attached to them.
Yeah.
Like, apparently they stole like $1 million worth of that stuff. Like, how much was that stuff worth back in the day? I'm guessing a lot of money.
DVD player. But you're talking about like a lot of those DVD players were ones that go in your car too. So you're talking about like a
how much
DVD
did those
player.
roll?
A DVD player itself would have been like $125, $150. Then the DVD is like what, fucking $39, $42 or some shit like that. So yeah, you're looking at probably like $1 million worth of shit when you're talking about coming off of a big ass truck like that size. I mean,
I guess so.
It's getting delivered. It's all getting delivered to a big ass store. You know what I'm saying? So it's all going to Best Buy. So
of course. Well, not yet, right? I don't think Best Buy was even around then, huh?
Maybe not everywhere, but
it's like Johnny's Electronics and stuff like that.
Yeah, Sam Goody and shit. Yeah, Johnny's Electronics.
Sorry.
But yeah, then later, Brian is Brian. He finds.
Well, hold on.
Sorry,
wait. You're forgetting that. So first of all, Brian wins the trust of Toretto,
right?
Because he saves him from getting caught by the police. Because for some reason the police just knew he was who he was by just walking around.
Or
boom.
If you want to be a little conspiracy theorist, this was all set up. They knew that race was going on.
This could have been a sting.
They knew exactly what car old dude Paul Walker was driving in because it's fucking bright green. And so they let Paul Walker get away and follow Vin Diesel, even though they probably knew, because, they saw him, right? They started chasing him and shit like that. How did that cop lose him, and how did he just catch up to him?
That's a very good point.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
No, yeah, that could have been. Could have been. But cop lost him because he got hit by a car.
Hey, that is true. That is true. Wait, no, did it? Did that happen?
Yeah, I'm actually just watching it right this very second. But
okay, cool.
I'm trying to put up the scenes that as we talk about them. I'm trying to have them up on here so we can talk about them. But man, we almost got some side boob in this one. No side boob, but almost side boob. You got to keep that PG-13 rating.
Where was there
Jordan
almost
abuse
side?
Brewster?
When Mia sees Paul Walker's character walking up to the house from Dom and him getting back. Yeah, we get a little side angle, but because Brian and Dom get captured by the Asians, that weird looking little dude and the other guy,
the wolf pack.
Yeah, the wolf pack. The little dude is weird. I don't like that character. I don't like that actor. He was just weird the whole fucking time. He had a weird look.
That actor. I've seen him in stuff too. He's another one of those character actors in a bunch of stuff.
I didn't like him at all. He was too weird. But yeah, they end up blowing up Brian's car, which I thought was cool. I thought that was pretty cool. I don't know.
Yeah, listen, I liked both. Like, I liked the guy that we just mentioned that plays Johnny Tran,
Right.
and I also like his cohort. I think his cohort was exactly what he needed to be. He needed to be that white-eyed, like coke-eyed, fucking, that the leader always asks, "What should I do?" And the guy's like, "You should do this, boss." Like, that's exactly what he is.
Yeah.
And like, I think it was
so
perfect.
weird.
I thought it was great. Yeah.
He was his
Reggie
just
Lee
face.
is
I
the
just
name of
don't
the
like
actor.
his face. I just don't like his face. That's all.
He's
That's
definitely
all
got
I'm
one of
saying.
those. He's got a henchman face. He's definitely got a henchman face.
Yeah, he's got weird hinge face.
That's okay. He was in because I was like, I've definitely seen this dude in a bunch of movies where he only says one line.
What
he was in
it?
Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, and at World's End. Dark Knight Rises, Hawaii Five-0, Fresh Off the Boat.
Hey man, we're not going down this nigga's shit. We're not going down this nigga's whole IMDb.
That was the end. When I said a bunch of shit, that was the end. But yeah, dude's been in a bunch of stuff. But
And
yeah,
they ride up. But what's great about how they ride up too is that they ride up on fucking bikes.
right,
They
and I
ride
like
up on
that.
bikes.
I like that juxtaposition of just like these guys ride cars, these guys ride bikes. It just makes things a little bit more visually interesting.
They only be out on Sundays. You see what I'm saying? And see, that's why he was like, yo, what the fuck you doing over here? But I also liked, let's just talk about shots. When they pull up, when the bike gang makes them pull over, like they go into a T&K Foods like parking lot or something.
Yes.
And they use that as like a setup for like, so now hey, we're going to, like, next time we see it again, we know, we're over here at their headquarters or whatever the fuck you want to call it, their turf.
It's like very
Like,
clearly,
we know where we are. You set it
their
up,
neighborhood,
and like every time you see like Echo Park, or Silver Lake, where we stand, you know what I'm saying? And then they went to the barrio and you knew where you was at, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, gave very good like setting markers. Like, they gave you very good way, they put you in the areas that you were in, because this was filmed in different boroughs of Los Angeles, so they did a good job of like actually setting that up for you without you having to think about it and not having to like tell you every fucking thing with crazy exposition that has nothing to do with the story, just trying to tell me what the fuck is going on. Like, you know what I'm saying? They told a good story without me having to be told it.
Right. Yeah, it was definitely better geographical reference than like say Training Day, where they go all over the city in the course of like 8 hours.
No, they don't go all over the city. They only go to South Central and they go to Echo Park. There's two places. Very misunderstood. Most people don't understand that.
All
I
right.
do a whole video on that.
What I really like too, though, is I don't think we see any guns in the movie, like up until when they brandish a fucking Uzi with a silencer on it, like to get them to pull over. It's a very aggressive, like on bikes, Uzi, like. We don't see that up until this point, and so you're instantly in with this other villain or the villain who you think is the villain. And once again, just to build, just to piggyback on what you said, like they set it up very well in that scene, because everything hits to the point to where you're like, you either like this villain or you completely hate him, because they act like they're going to let him go and then just roll back, and without saying any words, without saying one word, like you guys just said, they blow up his car by spraying it with like 2 clips. Like ridiculous.
And it's a nice character moment where pretty much what this guy is about. And then like later, sorry, no, what were you about to say?
Well, all I was gonna say is, like you were saying earlier. Now this is when this is when we find out that Brian is a police officer, and he's working with the FBI along with his police force task force to find out who's fucking fucking up the truck drivers.
Isn't he local, and aren't they the FBI?
Yeah, that's what I said. He's police.
Yeah, he's local.
And I'm saying he's working. We find out he's working with the FBI.
Yes,
and his local team, his local task force, to find who's stealing these trucks.
Right. I think Buffalo Bill is like the other local cop who's his supervisor, and then like the black dude is with the FBI. But I do want to mention one thing that I noticed during watching this movie. Right before like when Tran and his group drive off, Dom says to Brian, Brian says to Dom, what was that all about? And Dom says, I'll tell you about it later.
He nudged, the car just blew up. And
Wait, no. This is before the car blows up. He says, Brian says, what was that all about? And Dom says, I'll tell you later. Then they come back and they shoot the car and it blows up. And then they say the exact same lines. Brian says, what was that all about? And then Dom says, I'll tell you later. Like, the exact same lines. I had to rewind. I was like, wait, did you just say that shit twice?
I didn't even catch that, but I totally can replay it in my mind, and you're so correct, because I think the only difference is that Dom says, get in the car, let's go, or let's go.
No, he says something. I'll tell you later. He says verbatim, I'll tell you later. But the only difference is the second time he says, I'll tell you later. Brian's like, well, we have a 20-mile hike. There's no reason why you can't tell me now.
Wow.
I was like, God damn.
It was,
I just wanted to point that out.
The way he said it that second time was so nonchalant. Like, as they're walking out, it's like the car just blew up, and he's just like, so you're going to tell me what that was about? Rather than be like, what the fuck was that about? Like, we just got shot at. Like, fuck. Yeah.
Yep. So the moral of this whole scene is set up the fact that now Brian owes Dom a 10-second car.
A 10-second
car.
Indeed.
He goes to his police homies and is like, yo, I need more money. Son, give me some more money so I can go get another car. So
and didn't we found out that his car was worth $80,000, right?
The one that blew up.
That blew up. Yeah. He's like, that was an like the FBI guy's like, that was an $80,000 car.
81,000.
81. There we go.
Hot diggity daffodil.
Yeah, there was a lot of money in that car. No surprises here. That shit's not cheap. All that shit you see somebody with a very souped up vehicle, that shit is not cheap.
Yeah.
But he comes in with this fixer upper Supra, which was amazing to see them rebuild. But
that was pretty cool how they threw that in the movie. Like, he brings back like a car that obviously probably in another Sting or something he blew up, but still had the engine in it. You know, or something like that. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a nice moment, and shows like everybody's knowledge of cars, because like it's cool to bring in this thing that looks like a beater, and you open up the hood. I'm still like, okay, it's still a piece of shit, because I don't know shit about cars, but these guys are like, oh shit, you got something under here. So that was a cool moment. I like I like characters who are smarter than me. Yeah.
And then it segues into like the early 2000s computers and the software that they're using with the floppy disk that he implements to show what they can do with this car, right? Because they have that like montage of like them building the car and then using the computer and stuff like that, and then they have that little conversation about, oh, you should go to MIT, and then they talk about ADD for a second. That was kind of interesting.
First of all, let me just take a pause and ask you guys, what did y'all think of Jesse in this movie? Because I really like the character of Jesse and like the actor who played Jesse. I'm surprised he didn't do more. But Bill, what did you think of Jesse in this movie?
Jesse is awesome, dude. What are you talking about? Jesse, fucking rest in peace, Jesse, man. Bring back Jesse.
R.I.P. R.I.P.
Jesse didn't die. Jesse didn't die.
Yeah, he didn't die. He didn't die.
If you can bring back Han, you can bring back Jesse.
Oh my gosh, Alex, you
let me
hit
tell
it
you
right
something.
on
Jesse,
the fucking head.
Jesse is. Let me tell you something. Jesse is dead as a motherfucker.
And so and that's
Jesse little ass got shot in the chest a lot with an Uzi.
And I think we're learning here, and I'm sure we'll have this. Like, I'm sure you'll have more things on Fast and the Furious, but I think that's when the Fast and the Furious started getting wacky. Was like right after 2. Because maybe they had this whole idea to bring him back, and like they could do shit like that, and then they're gonna be working with governments and blah 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 blah, and rich men that like own, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like it honestly, like, rewatching this movie is like, y'all could have had 10 movies, but them all be about like a group of thieves who steal shit in an interesting way. But y'all decided to go in a very.
This was like Oceans, but with cars. They could have done.
Right.
But then I mean, I guess they just went the action hero way with it,
Yeah, they turned into fucking comic book movies out of nowhere, which, you can't argue with the results. They're still making bukus of bucks off of these fucking movies.
Bukus.
But then later, Brian, he convinces Dom to invite him to the race wars, which sounds like something I would not want to be invited to.
First of all, you got to start enunciating. You sound like you said the race whores.
But yeah,
that's the porno spinoff, I believe, is race whores.
Race whores. Come to race whores. We got the fastest whores in all of the West.
We got the fastest whores. But yeah, he invites him to the race wars after Brian basically is like, I know you're up to some shit. Let me.
They have a basket of shrimp and they hash it out.
Yeah. Don't you love hashing out troubles over a basket of shrimp with your buddy?
And I thought Dom, the man who he is,
skipped all the way to the race. You just skipped all the way to race wars.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking so long. I'm just trying to get to the finish line.
But real quick. Sorry. I thought Dom would have seen through his whole game while they're sitting there eating shrimp, being like, man, listen, you know what? I don't have to ask for things. That's not who I am. I don't ask for things. I earn my things. Dom. And you know what? You just need to tell me what you're doing, man. You need to let me have a piece of this pie. And it's like, you're asking for it. You're not, you're just going against exactly what you said. And you sound like you're a cop trying to set this up. But Dom feeds into it. And he's like, win at race wars, then I got you,
Yeah. Yeah, this is an interesting scene because it was one of those scenes where Vin Diesel's performance really made me believe what was happening. Because again, it seems very put on. Brian, especially with the last scene, it's obvious that Brian's trying to move things along with this investigation. But
he's got 35 hours, right? He has 35 hours. Yeah,
ticking time bomb. And yeah, Vin Diesel's reaction to everything was so fucking good. I really liked Vin Diesel in this movie. I was not expecting to really like him.
I'm gonna say this too. A lot of things, and I know that both Bill and Alex will agree with me. There's a lot of things that go into a film, and with this film, we do have to say something about the cinematography. The cinematography was done very, very, very well. In the one scene that we're talking about, I realized that they had these really kind of slow-mo angled shots of both of them as they were sitting there, and neither of them said anything in these two shots. And both of these shots were maybe 2 seconds, maybe 2.5 seconds long, where you actually see both actors thinking. And you're right, Alex. I mean, it really did make me feel Dom was in that moment really trusting, him, and it made you believe it. And it was good. It was really, really good.
He was trusting him, but at the same time, you could tell he was not willing to divulge. He still wasn't trusting,
right?
He still wasn't willing to divulge anything. And for a second, you think he's about to give up the goods, but then he's just like, "Here,
complete this challenge."
What is this? It's an address.
Yeah,
bitch, don't you ever in your life come around here asking me about money, nigga? I swear to God. I'll slap the shit out of you next time you come at me like that. Go to this address. That's race wars, bitch.
That was in the director's cut.
That's in the director's cut. I just watched the director's cut a few seconds ago.
Yeah, then he invites him to the race wars. We get a couple of fun racing scenes. Michelle Rodriguez racing this dude. Apparently,
that was cool. Like I said, she steals it a little bit. Yeah.
She raced J. Cole.
She did not race J. Cole. Get out of here.
That was J. Cole. I believe that was J. Cole, actually. Put it in the comments if you think that was J. Cole.
If you think it wasn't. Put it in the comments if you think it wasn't J. Cole.
But apparently the writer sat down with Jordana Brewster. Wow. Jordana Brewster and Michelle Rodriguez and had them go through the script too, just to beef up their roles because they were kind of one note in the original script. And,
Oh wow,
you know,
that's great.
Also, both of those young ladies had to learn how to drive. They did not have driver's licenses in the making of, like, before this movie was made, and they had to learn how to drive, and they had never driven before.
Interesting. That's
which is
great.
very cool because they both get pretty cool driving scenes in this movie, which I'm
And
sure.
Speaking of driving, at Race Wars, our buddy Jesse doesn't fare as well as Michelle Rodriguez, as Letty. She wins her race, but Jesse bets his dad's car, which somehow we just now found that out. I guess maybe that was edited, maybe that
must
fell
have
on
been
the
something
cutting
else on
room
the-
floor
yeah.
somewhere. It's like you can't sell your dad. That's your dad's car. Wait,
I
your
bet it was-
dad's car? But you know what? The way that they did it though was good. Like it was like, you know what? This is the first time I'm hearing about it, but that's all I really needed to know. I don't need to know nothing else really. And it's the first time we're even hearing that he has a dad that's in jail. We just find it all out at the same time. That's how you're supposed to do it, people. If you're sitting at home want to know how to write a good movie, that's how you do it. If you need to edit some bullshit out of your movie and you still need to tell your story, that's how you do it. Get it done quick.
In the
Get in there and get out.
In the words of Mike Lowry, that's how you drive. From now on, that's how you drive.
That's how you drive. That's right.
My money would be that they cut it out of the scene when they were sitting there at the computer talking the whole ADD thing.
Yeah,
I bet
for
it was
sure.
in
I
that
think
scene.
so too. I
Yeah.
think you're absolutely 100% right.
Which I think it was a good decision because I think that scene is like the perfect length to get an idea of who Jesse is and why he's so in tune to cars and all that stuff, and why Dom would have him hanging around because he doesn't look like Vince or Leon. He doesn't look like your typical super machismo guy.
And if I'd have heard that story, him telling his story about his dad being in prison and when he gets out, we're going to finally be able to ride around together, If I'd have heard that story, I'd have been like, he going to die.
Yeah.
Right?
He is going to die. He's like,
Yeah.
That's so true.
when I get back home,
Right.
I'm gonna marry that girl.
Yeah.
And we gonna have kids.
They skip the when I get back home monologue that makes you definitely realize the guy's about to die. But yeah, he has
Bill, you are a mastermind for that. That's so right on the money. Wow.
then he has like the race with Tran, and we all know that Tran's got a monster under the hood, so he beats him in the race.
Are these used sexual euphemisms?
No. What does under the hood mean in sexual like he's got
That
to pull up his
would mean
loincloth?
in your pants, sir. That would mean in your
The
pants.
size
sir.
of your unit, sir.
I've
that
never
would be
I've
the
never
size
heard
of your
under the
unit,
hood. Under the hood.
We could write a
referred
book
to.
of the things that you've never heard.
Hey, there's libraries full of things I've never heard.
Exactly. Exactly.
No, but you are right, Alex. We find out in the previous episode when they're like pumping the owner of what did we call it? Johnny's Mechanics.
Oh yeah,
or what was it called?
Harry's.
No, that's
something.
not. He's
Harry's.
not. That's not Harry.
Oh, it's not
That's
Harry.
not Harry.
It's not Harry.
Who was that?
That was Tom.
Was that just a
I don't
rando?
know. They
That
never
was
really.
just-
Yeah,
yeah,
it was
some
just some
guy.
random dude who owed them their engines.
Oh wow.
I don't know why he was fucking with them. Obviously, this nigga's crazy. I'm giving him all the engines. Whatever. Go get them.
I guess there was like
You can
a
have
minimal...
engines you want. What? You can have all the engines. You can have the Native American engines. You can have the Subaru engines. You can have goddamn all the engines. Any kind of engines you need, you can have them.
Let me ask you guys a question because I know how I feel about it, but I'm curious what you guys think of this storyline. What did you guys think of this Johnny Tran storyline? Because the more I was watching, it's like you could probably take the Tran storyline out and just have it be focused on the cops and the heist and Dom and Brian, and it'd still be a good
why
movie.
would you do that? No, it wouldn't, because they don't have any actual protagonists.
You mean antagonists?
Antagonists. So if you don't
Well,
have an
protagonist-
antagonist, then there is no protagonist.
protagonist-
I'm just saying, like, if there is no antagonist, then there is no protagonist because we don't have an actual.
Narratively-
Just hold on a second. Just let me finish saying what I'm saying. You asked. Now I'm trying to tell you.
No, go ahead.
So, the
It's getting
antagonist.
heated in here.
I'm just saying the antagonist has to exist so that we can have a protagonist. Because at this point, if we don't have them, we just have Paul Walker and Dom. So like we have two guys who basically, we don't even know which one of them is the protagonist at this point because we really love Dom and we really love Brian. So, like, and both of them are, like, working to help each other. Like, neither one of them really hate each other. So it's like the real antagonist has to be the Asian guys because we have to have Jesse die. We have to have Jesse die because we have to have some kind of loss. You know what I'm saying? Like, it can't be just, can't be fun, race, okay.
Right.
No consequences type thing,
No, there's definitely, I'll get to my opinion later, but what did you think, Chuckie?
No, I mean, after hearing what Bill said and how he ended it with, the death, it's true. Like, that death really kind of ignites everything. We could have just ended the film with, him arriving at Dom's house, Dom walking out with a shotgun, get out of my way. Maybe they have a couple of lines where he convinces him to get out of the way. But in the end, him driving up, there being the reason of why he's leaving the house. I'm not running. I'm trying to go help my friend. Like,
right.
You don't understand. This is about community. This is about, you know what I mean? It's about family.
Yeah.
So it's like, what's great is that you see in that moment that Dom's not trying to run from the police. He's trying to save his family before anything happens to them. And then in the course of this, his family gets shot. And then you see that connection between both of them where instantly, I'm going to say Paul because I'm sorry. I don't keep saying going back between.
Right, yeah. It's hard to, yeah.
Yeah, but Paul instantly, without even thinking, before Dom even does it, jumps in his car to chase Johnny Tran. And Dom sees this and then instantly storms back up to his car, and gets in his car and then commences chase. And so I think that I agree with Bill. It adds so much to the film because it's like you already had like a firecracker blow up, and now this is like a huge explosion that somebody in the family is now down on the ground shot by these guys that, like I said, in the film wield these weapons like that's what they do, when on the opposite side, no one in this community really yields their weapons unless they have to,
Right.
Also, I remember, I know there were people who were watching this movie for the first time going, man, that ain't them. They ain't the ones stealing. They ain't the ones stealing. Watch. They ain't the ones. It ain't Dom. No, it ain't them. Watch. No, it ain't them. It's the Asian dudes. I'm sure there was people who were really directed that way, like in their mind, watching it for the first time. So
I agree.
They were also like a distraction to keep you away from the, surprise ending. Like, hey, it actually was them.
It's always been Dom.
Right. He's the Dom. I'm the Dom.
It's always been Toretto. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I do feel like it was a two-hander with,
two-hander.
Of having...
Jesus.
But yeah, like with the like a red herring of Tran being the bad guy, and also just like the emotionality of Jesse's death, it definitely added a lot to everything.
And listen, and I'm also going to say that when Johnny Tran's home gets stormed, and his father smacks him in the face,
Woof.
like that was you could see these are how villains are born. You know what I mean? Like, there you go.
Yeah. We definitely need to have Jesse's dad come out in the next Fast and the Furious. He gets out of prison and he's ready to kill Dom. Didn't protect his son. What? Let's go. Fast and Furious 11. Let's go.
There it is.
There it is. It writes itself. But yeah, then just as we mentioned, Jesse gets gunned down by Tran and his homie. I forgot what the name of his homie was.
Lance.
Lance gets injured. I'm not sure if he comes back in the later movie, but he clearly doesn't die. But Tran gets shot down by Brian, as Brian and Dom go to chase him down. Oh, but yeah, I'm sorry. We did skip a big scene that we wanted to get back to. Let's talk about the big action sequence. I would say the climax of the film, the re-heist of the truck, the 18-wheeler.
The re-heist.
What did you guys think of this scene, the reprise of the heist? But this is when the heist goes wrong. Bill, what did you think?
When making a heist goes wrong. What did I think? Me first?
Yeah.
Man, yeah. So,
Actually, I'll let you
stuntmen,
keep talking while I make a drink.
Shout out to all the stuntmen who took place in this. Somebody needs to look it up. Alex, you need to look it up later when you get back. But we need to see if Vincent is a fucking stuntman. Because he did some shit in this scene, and I was like, yo, that's him. Like, that's not a stuntman. You know, like, that is a dude. Also, I really liked how you don't really see the truck driver. They make a point to show you the gun of the truck driver, to show the truck driver picking up shells off the ground, picking up shells out of his bag, like showing the shells drop on the ground, I should say, and showing him picking up the shells out of his bag, like loading up his gun, but to create more tension. But you never see the actual truck driver's face. I thought that was great because it creates more tension to me. And also, I thought they could have found something else for, just one critique if I had to have one. They could have found something else for Dom to do. Dom was out of, he was like, all he was just doing was just like this. He's like, man, I've been working on these arms,
Right.
God damn it.
He had that-
Y'all
he had that
finna
shirt
get this
shot.
Y'all about to get this shot of this arm. I've
Every
been
time-
working on just this arm.
Yo, when the director saw that shot, he was like, I got fucking gold. When he saw that shot of like fucking Vin Diesel's
Holy
shirt
shit.
acting like a second skin in the wind, he's like, hot damn, nigga, I'm done made
I'm
myself
sorry,
a movie star.
I'm sorry, I hate to interrupt you. I just saw something that is really fucked up because we're talking about that scene. I'm looking at that scene, and there's a part of the movie right after the shotgun goes through the glass and he's hanging off the door. Vincent's hanging off the door. Mm-hmm. There's a part of it where there's a guy's arm hanging out where it's supposed to be Dom's arm hanging out, but it's a guy with long ass sleeve blue sweater on.
Oh, well, that's weird.
If you see it and you're watching it at home, put it in the comments. That shit was crazy. I just saw it. That's so weird because we're talking about it. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like doing this, and he's just did it as soon as I got through talking about it. But then I see a dude with a blue sweater. So they clearly had different types of like they did this shot a few times.
Right.
Like and they had different stuntmen for different things. You know, stunt drivers, stunt actors.
Yeah,
like,
I'm sure there was a stunt coordinator just like, just trying to make sure that nigga
This
didn't
is
die
one
off the side of the
thing-
truck.
This is one thing that I was gonna say is that the final scene, the final heist, either I guess right before Paul gets there to save the day, and then when Paul gets there, I loved it. I thought it was great that they foreshadowed in the very beginning when they all met up to get in their Hondas that every single one of them, other than Dom, was like, "This doesn't feel right. We shouldn't do this without Jesse."
Right.
Like it just doesn't feel good. And Dom's like, "Come on, this is the last one." And I mean, as Bill says, when any character says something like that,
Yeah.
like, this is the last big heist. This is the last big heist, guys. Then we're sipping mojitos in Mexico. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, you know that it's going to go horrible.
It's gonna go terrible.
I love that foreshadowing. I loved that, we had the under the car, shot again. And it showed a more detailed way that she did it, how she like slung out to kind of get that like sling back in to kind of get a little bit more speed, and then, just flipped on out. I liked how there was the abrupt turnaround from that one teammate when Dom yelled for him to go to go pick up. What's her name? Vinny or what was her name?
I forgot Michelle.
Letty.
Letty. Yeah.
Yeah, I won't forget. I'm right here. I'm the Michelle Rodriguez delegacy over here.
But when Paul got there to save the day, his stuntman is so obviously not him.
Yeah.
And they didn't just use one shot of that. They used about 2 or 3 shots where I was just like, oh my gosh, like that guy has a really bad receding hairline. That's not Paul. That is not Paul.
Not at all. And it was so bad that when they end that shot, he's like on the roof of the car hanging on.
Yeah.
And when they end the shot, the dude had to have his face down and with his head turned like this, so you don't see how badly it is not Paul Walker. Like, it is
And like
really badly.
I commend them. I commend them for like, you know, trying to get the shots and everything like that. But it's just,
especially in 2001, like it's not like we weren't as like we said, with HD was still on the precipice. I don't think the people, filmmakers, were so much concerned with like, oh well, the audience will be able to tell that this isn't Paul Walker. It's like with the quality at the time and the sophistication of audiences, like I don't think that was a thing that they were very much interested in. But you could definitely tell now, like that's not Paul, that's not Vince or Ben. I don't know.
No, you know, I don't think, you know, what it is, in my opinion, what it is I noticed this shit when I saw the movie growing up. Like, I didn't notice it the first time. And that's the difference. You know, people didn't have the ability to watch the shit 155 million times and freeze frame it like they do now.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's what the difference is. It's like I don't care if it's a director that somebody may see this frame that is a little off because most people aren't even going to see it because it's an action scene. We're caught up in the action, not whether or not that's Paul Walker or not.
It's like in Casino, like how that, you know, first frame of the car blowing up has the dummy sitting there. It's like the first time we probably saw Casino, we probably didn't realize that. But maybe the second or third time we saw it, we probably were just like, wait a second.
Yeah, that's a wax figure. That is not Ray Liotta. It's. I thought that this was like this scene and like the scene following it was like the best of the movie to me because like they cut out the music, which is arguably the worst part of the movie. Like the music in this movie is terrible.
Hold on. Let's get to that since we've already covered the end of this movie. So let's get to that.
Not the end. We haven't covered the end.
Well, we haven't covered the end. We did the world. Yeah, we should cover the street race because you already mentioned that they killed one dude,
right?
And then
killed Jesse.
They broke Lance's legs.
But
broke his legs.
Right. But before we get to what were you going to say about the music?
What was I going to say about the music?
Yeah,
I don't have anything to say about the music.
Okay.
I'll say something real quick about the music.
Yeah.
The soundtrack seemed like it was like when it was hard for movies to get music. Like they just went with like a genre and kind of ran with as much free music they could get from it because they had Ja Rule doing a couple things. So like I know he was under contract and stuff like that. But then there was like some kind of Matrix-y sound music, you know, every once in a while. Or
the score itself was very.
We call it 90s. We call it 90s rock movie music. That's what we call it on this show. 90s rock movie music.
There's like some.
It's everywhere, all throughout the 90s. But that's not the soundtrack. The soundtrack is actually. This is when soundtracks were still soundtracks back in the day. The score is what sucks. The soundtrack was actually lit.
Okay.
I definitely agree that the score is way worse than the soundtrack for sure. But yeah, like I really liked this last like
back when soundtracks was soundtracks back in my day. When you had 25 songs of some good hits.
In my day, Ja Rule was a celebrity. But no, it's like this whole last scene was like really interesting, or this scene was really interesting because. One, I really like the dynamics of the chase scene. It's very well written action sequence because like I said before, we get the setup of how the heist goes well at the beginning, and then we see how the heist goes bad at the beginning of this action sequence, and how it goes terribly to shit Vin's out of the situation, Letty's out of the situation, and now Brian's flying in. And as he's flying in, you're like, how are you going to make this okay? Because, like, we've just seen it fail in 2 drastic situations. Like, how are you going to make this work? So I thought that was, like, really dramatically interesting. And the best scene of this movie, and I want to hear y'all's comment on this or how y'all felt about this.
We're going to get everybody's best. Remember, you're going to get everybody's favorite.
The scene where Brian has to reveal that he's a cop to Dom, where he's like, he pulls out the phone. He's like, "This is Officer Brian. What was so and so?" And you see Vin Diesel's face. Like, it's the best scene of the movie. It's the best scene of the movie, in my opinion. Like, he's doing all the act. Both of them are doing really great acting. Brian's like scared that he's gonna punch him while he's talking. Vin Diesel's like, "I'm gonna kill you." It's so great. Like, what did you guys think of that scene specifically when he has to reveal that he's a cop?
I thought it was dope. You're correct. Everything that you just said was completely correct. Like, you saw Brian as the cop, like, just go straight into calling a medic because he knew that if he didn't call a medic, that, like, Vince would die.
Right.
And so, he goes straight into that mode, and maybe about like 5 seconds into it, he realizes that, he's saying officer, and then looks up at Dom, and then that's when you see Dom just...
Oh, God.
He does some very, very, Vin Diesel does a lot of great acting with his eyes in this, and with his body, his posture, everything. And it wasn't over the top. It wasn't, like, overdone. It was done exactly what it needed to be. Because
right.
You saw him almost plateau, but in that plateau realize what Brian was doing. He was actually saving his friend's life. And then he came back down and then was trying to re-strategize. Okay, where does this go from here?
Ooh, man, good writing, good acting. What did you think of that scene, Bill?
I think you guys got caught up. I mean, I know why. I know why. I mean, it was a good scene, but it was just the music. The sound design was what fucked it up for y'all. Because there wasn't any real music. They just played this, like, tone. And it was just like, boom. It's like what you be thinking in your mind when you see shit like that happen. You like, oh. Like, like, when you see something crazy happen, everybody goes, oh. That's the proverbial, oh. But you got to do it with music or with a sound. And that is really what sent that scene over the top. Because, yeah, he's great. They're giving great performances. But we've seen, like, great performances not get, like, that kind of emotion. But the emotion is coming from that fucking sound. That sound, I'm telling you, I dare you to go back and watch it and still disagree with me. Because you're going to watch it and you're going back and you go, damn, that music is fucking with me.
I think that it's one of those moments where, like, the movie earned that moment with, like, with everything, like everything that's happened.
Yeah, they set it up
that,
perfect. They set it up.
Everything that happened in that movie before that, the music, the acting, the shot, like the shooting, like everything worked really well together in that moment. Like to your point, I think that's just really elevates. That's why it's the best scene in the movie to me. Like everything, that's where the movie builds to a point.
I agree.
But then later. We like that's kind of the end of the friendship between Dom and Brian. Dom is now focused on saving Jesse, and Brian is focused on his job. It's like, the cat's out of the bag. I guess I got to arrest you now. And Dom's like, well, I got to save Jesse. Like, I'm not trying to run from the cops or whatever the fuck you are. I was like, I could break you like a twig. You see how big I am?
I have a shotgun, sir.
Get your itty bitty ass gun out of here. And
the way he just walks towards him, like he doesn't even fucking care. He's just like, "What are you gonna do?
Right?
Shoot me?" Yeah.
And then we get the infamous. We spoke about it a little bit already where Jesse gets gunned down. Anything you guys wanted to add about the Jesse death scene?
No, we already talked about that. We beat that death. We beat that Jesse like a dead Jesse.
But then we get our race scene at the end, or we get our race war. Blacks against
Yeah.
whites.
Blacks versus whites.
What did you guys think of this like last racing scene between Brian and Dom? Did you think it was emotional? Did you think it was well shot? What did you think? Chuckie, I'll let you go first.
I mean, the way that Dom's car goes up on two wheels and has a different beginning than, of course that, like his car is never going to do that, but like we've never seen Dom's car even on the road. He says he's never driven it. And as soon as he takes off, it just goes and just like completely, I mean, it was brilliant. And I mean, it completely was unlike any race that we'd seen before in the film. And it raised the stakes because they're racing towards a railroad track. We only see one light. We only see one, stoplight in front of them, and the stakes are pretty high, And then, of course, things happen in that race. But I'll let Bill answer what he thought about the race also.
Oh no! Watching it, I thought this is a big ass fucking waste of time. Well, first time I watched it, I was like, "Come on, y'all, we gonna get this one," because they didn't have three actual races before this, maybe 4. So this is it's a movie about motherfucking street racing. So we gotta have some actual street racing in here. So this is like, let's get this one more like car porn moment before we get up out of here. Let me just get one.
I had no problem with that car porn moment.
One more car porn moment before we get up out of here. And then, I love that Dom doesn't get hit. Neither one of them get hit by a train. But this motherfucker, for one time in the movie, like, he's like, whoa, that was crazy, right? And then, like, he's like humble in himself for one moment. And then, boom, gets hit by a motherfucker. What does he even hit?
He's a truck.
A truck.
Where the fuck did this truck come from? Like, why is you not like Brian? Why is you not saying, "Hey, no, look at the truck"? Don't look at me. Look at the truck.
I did like the way that was shot because, like, as soon as Brian realizes, like, you can see his face. He's like, "Oh shit!" And then, like, you cut to then that's when you cut to the actual accident.
There was literally nothing in front of them the whole time. They didn't see that truck, then like, what the fuck is going on, y'all? Like,
nobody's disbelief at that point for sure. Yeah.
No, I didn't like this scene. I never liked this scene. I never liked it. I thought it should have ended.
It is a little contrived because, like, it's a movie about racing, and then we end with a scene about racing. Like, honestly, the end of the movie for me, or like the best, like like I said, the best scene of the movie is like the scene after the heist, and then like him revealing that he's a cop. That's the climax of the movie for me. And the rest of this is kind of like tying up loose ends with Johnny Tran and Jesse and stuff like that.
I got one more thing to say.
No, for sure.
Thing to say, from an introspective, and I know Bill's gonna hate me for this. He's not even gonna agree with me. He's gonna say that I'm pulling shit from everything. But anyway, there's a huge, and I hope that I'm using the right phrase or the right term right now. There's a huge metaphor within this last race. It's not just a street race, guys. It is not just a street race, or at least for me, when I have been rewatching it, it's not. So, for me. Dom has said in the film, "I'm never going back to prison."
Right.
I'm either gonna die, or like I'm just not. It's not gonna happen.
Right.
Like,
I'll die before I go
that.
back. Yeah. That's what he
So
says,
for me, I think this was a little bit of Dom thinking that he's gonna kill himself. I think that him doing this last race. I don't think he knew that train was coming, but when he saw the train, there's actually a moment in the film when he sees the train and makes the decision to, press on the gas.
Yeah.
Like, he makes that decision to keep going. And
it's like the opposite of hesitation, yeah.
Yeah, and who knows if that decision was like, you know what, fuck it. Like, I'm about to go to prison. I'm about to get arrested. This train's right here. I'm going to go out with a fucking blaze of glory.
Right.
And so... For me, it was a little bit more than just a race at the end. It was almost like you know, like he was about to kill himself because he just didn't want to get caught. He didn't want to go do that again. So
Yeah.
I'm just gonna throw that in the mix because for me it was a little bit different.
For sure, yeah. I do feel like I do feel like it was definitely contrived. Like I feel like that was one of the first conversations in like script meetings. Like we have to end the movie on a race.
Yeah.
But
Look,
I think that they
he said when Paul Walker walks up to Dom at the fucking after he wrecks the car, Dom says, "That's not how I thought this turned out." Like he literally is sitting there going, like, "Holy shit!" Like he's like, "Whoa, damn." Well, maybe he's saying he didn't think he would live, and he's alive now, and he's gotta just be alive. Maybe he tried to commit suicide, and he's saying he thought he would be dead. But tell you what, I think the whole movie, like the ending of that movie when he drives off into the sunset, if you will, Dom, what is he gonna do? Like, he's literally on the run after that. So it does a good job of setting up the next.
And so what you're talking
two
about,
movies,
Bill,
I guess the next three movies, really, because we don't get Dom in the first movie. I mean, in the next movie, we get him in the third movie, and then in the fourth movie, he comes back. Like,
well,
so
does he not? So wait, but the ending that you're talking about him driving to the sunset, that's like the after credits ending, right?
No. He drives after he gets out of the car, the wrecked car.
just drives
Brian
away.
hands him the keys to his car.
He's
like, I still owe you a 10-second car. And then he gives him his keys, and he lets him drive off without him getting arrested.
So did you
guys? I didn't realize that the post-credit scene existed until today.
Yes.
What? There's a post-credit scene?
Yeah.
This is what I was about to bring up. Is the actual post-credit ending is Dom in I guess a new red
Magnum.
GT,
Magnum.
It's a G. I think it's a GT, and he's driving in Mexico.
Right.
And he's like driving to some point in Mexico, but it's very vague. It's like, why is this even here? Like, honestly, like most ed credit scenes now like have like a secret meaning and have like like a character that's going to be in it in the next movie or some shit like that. This was very vague. It was just Dom driving in Mexico. He wasn't like, there's nothing else.
This movie has been out for 17 years, and I did not know that scene even existed. Yeah.
Man, I've never known this. I'm watching it right now for the first time.
I'm telling you, we were way too young or way too naive to even be in the mindset of like those edit, like at the end of credit scenes, because it was a new thing. I don't remember what was the first film that did it, but like this is around that time that it started to happen, and that you either saw it and knew about it or you didn't. Yeah,
it's like I do remember Ferris Bueller's Day Off having a after credits or post credits scene, but it didn't become like
let me tell y'all
a
something.
Thing in movies until like Marvel made it a thing.
No, let me tell y'all something, man. That goddamn post-credit scene is another example of what the fuck I just said about the fucking last scene of the movie. The fucking last race is ridiculous. He didn't have to do all that. They was just gonna let him drive off. He could have just did that and not got hit by a motherfucking truck. Also, if you're gonna just drive a motherfucking car down Baja Mexico Parkway, then goddamn do that at the beginning of the movie. Just do that as the credits roll. Like, let the credits roll and then play that. Don't make me sit to the end of the fucking movie to see some bullshit that didn't even fucking have anything to do with nothing.
I honestly do have a weird qualm with post-credit scenes because it's like I feel like your movie should be your movie. It's like if you want to add something in post-credits, despite like Marvel and whatever, like they have their shit they want to set up. It's like put everything you want in your movie. Like, if you want this to be the last scene of your movie, make it the last scene of the movie.
No.
It's fucking 20 years later, and I've never seen this scene before.
No, nigga, that's on you, nigga. Don't be trying to retcon your life now.
Wait, what are we talking about then?
Listen. They don't have to make a post-credit scene is a Hollywood slice of tiramisu. If it's done right, it's fucking perfect.
I agree
perfect.
so much, Bill. I agree
It's
so
so
much.
fucking perfect. If Eddie Murphy is the one who made it popular to do post-credit scenes, and so no, I disagree.
Well, I think
wholeheartedly.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say that.
And I also did not know that this one was on this one, but fuck this one. Don't let this one be the end all be all for post-credit scenes.
No, I'm going to say this. So I just looked up the first post-credit ever done in any film was like in 1966. Ooh. So that was like the first time it was ever done in any film. But as these things, do happen, all of this comes in waves. Mm-hmm. So there's been waves of like films that have done post-credit scenes, and like I didn't even realize, Bill, that Eddie Murphy did a lot of those. Like I didn't even remember that. And so I think that there have been waves of it happening, but because there wasn't internet during the times of like these first waves of post-credit scenes, kind of like what Bill just said. If you knew about it, you knew about it. If you didn't, you didn't. It wasn't like a huge like talking point or anything like that. Mm. But now
it was like, yeah, man, it's that thing that makes people go, that makes people talk about the extra part. And then now you got to go see it again, right? Back in the day, especially, like now you got to go see it again because you didn't see the post-credit scene.
Yeah, like
and
honestly,
then,
sorry, no.
And then and to your point, Alex, like just to kind of like pump up what you were saying. Marvel did make it popular. I think it was like in 2000, like.
I feel like Iron Man is the one that really.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Was it 2000? Like
2009?
What was that? I think it was like 2010. Let me see. Wait. Oh no, wait. The first Marvel post-credit scene was attached to Iron Man, the studio's first movie. After watching Tony Stark become a hero, audiences were treated to 36 seconds of a tease, and that was. Let's see. It says January 26th. No, that's not right. 1 second.
Came out the year after Dark Knight, I believe.
First Iron Man, right?
Yeah. Maybe it's the same year?
First Iron Man.
While you're looking that up, I want to correct myself. I did say that this came out, the Fast and Furious came out in 2006. I did say that it came out in 2006, Fast and Furious, but it came out in 2001. So it would have been the same time, though, that I would have been going. So freshman year. So freshman year, I would have been going to I would have been going to street races in like freshman year, and definitely sophomore year.
So you're saying that The Fast and the Furious, the movie that we're talking about right now, came out in 2001?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it came into 2001.
All right. Well, that's interesting because then it's 7 years later, Alex, in 2008, that Iron Man does the first in the Marvel world post-credit scene. And then they make it a trend because then like all of these Marvel movies come out. And it's like for directors that,
and I think every Fast and the Furious movie has a post-credit scene. If
I think that they
do
now, yeah. Because Vin Diesel in Tokyo Drift shows up in a post-credit scene, I believe.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Is that you said that Dom wasn't in this, Fast and the Furious 2, Tokyo Drift, but he does show up in that post-credit scene. He does.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And apparently he was offered like Fast and the Furious 2, Too Fast, Too Furious was written for him. Like the Tyrese character was written for him, but he was like, I don't like this. I don't like where the story is going. I don't really want to be a part of this franchise anymore. So he kind of like opted out, and that's why they cast Tyrese in that role. So like that movie was basically supposed to be Paul or Brian and Dom like on another adventure.
Also, they wasn't trying to pay him no money. They lowballed the fuck out of him, and he was like, nah. I got these big movies they want me to do, which he did go on to do, like some stinkers. After that,
Groot. Dude is
No, I'm saying some shitty bad movies, bad movies, stinkers. Right after he did Fast and the Furious, or The Fast and the Furious, it was just shit movie after shit movie after shit movie. I liked a couple of them, but like Knock Around Guys is probably the best one out of all these other ones that he did. So yeah, he became a big star, but he wasn't doing any good work. So he really had to come back to the franchise as much as the franchise needed him to come back to the franchise.
Yeah, it's weird,
but
because he he's developed a huge ego. Like, it's funny watching this movie because like he's so grounded and he's like really working on his craft. Later on, when the movies get weirder and his ego gets bigger and he starts like saying how like fucking The Rock, he taught The Rock how to act and all this kind of shit. It's like he's like gotten less removed from, I don't know, I don't want to talk about a person like I don't know him, but he seems like he's gotten removed from reality, and the movies have gotten worse. So it's interesting to watch him at this mode where he's just like sort of becoming a movie star because he's really, really good in this movie. But I guess this is...
I don't know Vin Diesel, so I can't speak on that. I don't know Vin Diesel, but I do. I mean, like, all I know is that, you know, the director of the Tokyo Drift decided he wanted to go in that direction, and of course Vin Diesel is going to say, yeah, I want to go in that direction because the direction is him being the star of every motherfucking movie from here on out. and having production rights and he was able to get his rights back from what's that movie
Roger
he was
Corman.
in?
Yeah, so wait, are you talking about the Roger Corman movie, the Fast and the Furious?
No, I'm talking about Vin Diesel was able to get his rights back from he was able to get the rights to his first Pitch Black. He was able to get the rights to that from Universal. He was able to do a deal when he came back. So that was his stipulations on coming back. He wanted to get paid a lot of money. He wanted to get the rights to his movie, and he wanted to be able to get production credits on the new movie.
Right.
So, and that's basically, why would you hate that direction? I don't give a fuck how crazy these movies get. Fucking, if you're gonna have me in them every single fucking time, you're gonna pay me $30 million. Let's go.
Yeah, I feel like he came back and he was just like, all right, listen, guys, if I'm gonna be in this, I'm gonna need to make a lot of money, and then it needs to go the route of like the cars, but like this is Ocean's 11. And we're just going to get crazier and wackier, work for the government, do all these like things, like, because it's just ridiculous how entrenched they get away from racing.
So far from racing.
Right. But that was the choice. That was their choice. They wanted to get more sensational and less about the culture of racing. Yes. But that was a smart move because the culture of racing died. So
That's
people,
true.
Fads go and come. So that was a smart move.
This was a way to keep themselves relevant.
But the thing is, though, I think Vin Diesel is really smart because I think he's just trying to get the money. Like I said, he did a bunch of bad movies after he did this one movie that brought him a lot of money. It got him a lot of other movies that weren't good, but I think he looks at it like, yo, I ain't going away from the honeypot again. Mm-hmm. I've been away from the honeypot. I did that. I did what I wanted to do. I did it's honestly theatrical shit. Now I need to do the sensational shit and get this check.
It's rough. You see a lot of people in the industry making very reactionary decisions. Like Kevin Smith, very famously, as soon as he made a movie that critics didn't like anymore, he stopped making like shit that critics would even try to like. Like he's like, I'm just gonna start making stuff for me because y'all don't really like the shit that I'm putting out. It's like it's a hard business. So I can see how he started leaning into this aspect of it. And again, it's worked out for him. And honestly, guys, leave it in the comments if you guys want us to talk about all the other Fast and the Furious movies to see if they hold up. But now it becomes this time in the podcast where we ask the pivotal question.
You know what the question is? The question is, does it hold
up? Chuckie, as our guest, you will have the fine privilege of deciding whether it holds up or not.
Yeah, first you tell us if it held up or not, and then you tell us your reason.
All right, and so as in hold up, does it still hold up as a film that I think is a good film and enjoy?
Yeah,
or does
today.
It hold today?
Mm-hmm. Today.
I would say yes, it does. I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
There are some speed bumps though when it comes to seeing the stunt guy I think they drop an F-bomb at one point in the movie too when Brian is getting in his first fight. Which
yeah, he does. Yeah.
Yes, which in today's standards, if you show that,
not the F-bomb we all love, but
yeah, not the F-bomb in the quintessential,
Not the one I use all the time.
Yeah.
Or the one I do all the time.
And when it comes to movies like that and them having that stuff in there, I mean, it kind of just showcases a little bit of the time and where the writers were and what they thought was like an insult that people were using, or maybe they just wanted to do it. But there were a little bit of speed bumps, but other than that, as a whole, like I said, the cinematic quality, the way that it was edited, the way that it was shot, in my opinion, 100% it does stand up. And I think in most people's opinion, I'd like to think that most people would say this is their favorite one out of all the ones that have dropped, because you might like one of the other sensational ones. You might even, fuck it, you might even like Too Fast, Too Furious because you just like drifting. But this one was actually a film. It's The Fast and The Furious, and I think it stands up. I think it's good.
But Bill, how did you feel? Do you feel like it holds up?
That's not how this goes, man. It's not how this goes.
Okay. You're gonna leave it at that?
We're doing a show here. I have to remind you that we're doing a show. Do I have to remind you?
Yeah.
Because that's what we've been doing here. So the question is, Alex, does it hold up?
Off top. What you think?
Of course it holds up. I don't even know why we had to watch this movie. This is ridiculous. This is the fucking best movie of all these fast movies. They real fast, too. Didn't last too long. Can't see how long it lasts. 1 hour, 46 minutes, and 52 seconds. And that's with this crazy post-credit scene. Get me in and get me out. You know what I'm saying? Tell the whole story, and it was told. And it was not sold. It was sold. It actually was sold. I bought it. I bought a ticket. And I actually had to buy this shit just to watch it. And that's what you're going to have to do if you want to watch it now. You got to pay for it. It's crazy.
That
but you know
$3.99.
why you got to pay for it? Because it's the best one. That's why you got to pay for it. $3.99, exactly.
And it's not even on Amazon right now. It's unavailable.
No, you got to pay for it on Amazon, yeah.
No, it was unavailable on my Amazon. I had to get it off of YouTube.
Oh. Yeah, I had to get it off of YouTube too. So that's also what we're going to change up about these videos that we do, because we can't keep talking about shit that people can't find. Like we were going to do Tank Girl, but I don't think we can do Tank Girl.
Why not?
Tank Girl just showed up on Amazon Prime like a couple of days ago. So
the universe
is looking out for us.
You guys got to have me on for Tank Girl if possible, because that is one of my favorite little films from back in the day.
Okay.
It's such a quirky little film, so you got to have me on if you got room.
We might have to have you in studio because I think we got somebody else that we have to have on, and Zoom is hard to do with a lot of people. We're finding out. But Alex, the question is, does it hold up?
Yeah, I think this is gonna be the first. I think this is gonna be the first one that has a unanimous "it does hold up" vote. But yeah, I do feel like this one still holds up. Again, there's some hiccups with some story shit, and like some dialogue is a little clunky. But I feel like the character development was done pretty interesting. The way that the action scenes were written, like I was surprised by how well that was done, and just like the character development in the action sequences. And again, Vin Diesel is doing the best acting of his career in this movie. You can tell how he became a movie star out of this movie. You know, like he's really, really good.
They gave him an Oscar for this, right? I mean, this is what he got an Oscar for, right? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, he got the nom. I don't think he got the. I don't think he got the statue. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I feel like he was really, really good in this. And you could see where he would get like this sort of ego, because there's a lot of stories about him sort of taking over this latest Fast and Furious movie, Fast 10. but you can see where that ego comes from because like this first movie wouldn't have been anywhere near as successful if it wasn't for him. Like him and David Ayer and Robert Cohen went through the script like page by page to make sure that it was as good as it could be, and they brought him in on that. So like I can see how he can have that sort of ego going into it. It's like, hey, I'm the one who made this whole thing possible. So I can see I could have that ego, but it's definitely misplaced in the later films to a point where we can only enjoy it as just like, this is so crazy. It's fun.
You're the only one driving home the ego storyline.
Hey,
I'm the only person who thinks Vin Diesel.
I'm just saying, like, on this show, nigga, goddamn,
for sure.
Why are you getting so goddamn sensitive? You're the only one who, right now,
I'm not
driving home this.
sensitive.
I'm just saying, you're the only one bringing it up. Nobody else is bringing that up. We're all running away from that because we don't know Vin Diesel.
That's true. You guys don't. But I don't mind having the only opinion that I have on this podcast.
I'm gonna say this though.
I'm just pointing out.
It just came into my mind that Vin Diesel leaving the franchise and then coming back to the franchise, and the franchise being as successful as it's been since he stepped back in, is almost, and I know this might be a reach, but it hit me in my head, is almost like the Apple story with Steve Jobs. Like, Steve Jobs was part of Apple. He left Apple. They weren't doing well. They had to pull him back in. As soon as he comes back in, bada boom, bada bing, they're on the races. It's like
Great analogy.
That's
And
like,
they never make anything different except one fucking thing. Yes. That is a great analogy.
that is
Fucking amazing.
That's a good point. Like, and just talk about an analogy that I know. Like, yeah, Community, when they fired Dan Harmon, they brought him back. Like, they fired Dan Harmon for one season, they brought him back. It's interesting how people think that they can make their franchise without the people that made it what it was.
we got the Kool-Aid. We know how to serve it to people.
Right.
You know, yeah.
It's like, we got the
Well, that's
recipe.
different. That's actually not. I mean, it's similar but not the same because they didn't think that they could do it without Vin Diesel. They wanted to do it with Vin Diesel. He didn't want to do it.
Right.
So
yeah.
that's different than getting fired.
Yeah,
like,
that's
that nigga
true.
got fired. Don't have him down our neck like Seinfeld.
Yeah, that's
We
true.
didn't get canceled. We didn't get canceled. That's my Seinfeld impersonation.
Pretty good song. Well, guys, thanks for watching. We do this every once in a while, so go ahead and leave a like and subscribe so you can get updates on new videos. Check us out on Spotify, iTunes, Letterboxd, likewise, all the internet things at The Drunk Banthas. Until next time, stay safe, my little Nas tanks, and may the Force be with you.